And it keeps him sort of contained.
Yeah, well, I'm on the outside. He's right where he's at.
I was right behind you, which is pretty good because it wasn't eating up, like he wasn't coming over the seat or anything.
How's he do flying? Does he like it?
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
flown a lot, really. Well, actually, he's flown 8 times.
Really?
We just figured that out. Yeah, he's flown 8 times. He's 4, so he's flown an average of twice a year.
We take advantage of the before too. I think they're
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll need to order the approval of tonight's agenda.
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
seconding.
All in favor? The approval of the minutes from the September 15th, 2025 meeting.
Make a motion to approve those minutes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Move on, Town Bar Improvements Project, Phase 2 project plans, DNR Indiana Trails Program.
I spoke with Mike, DNR, the grants team has been out the last couple of weeks. So they're planning to make an announcement of if we award the grant, probably sometime mid-November. Mike is actually meeting with some of the DNR grants team this week to tour the Bass Lake project. So he's gonna try to get a little more information out of them then, but we're just kind of in a holding pattern.
Yep, I've got, and I can present this with that. This meeting and the next, we've got EO 2885 to Troyer Group for their work on the application for the Indiana Trail Program through September 30th in the amount of $4,700.
Make a motion, we pay PO 2885.
Second
All in favor?
They appreciate that. So yeah, we'll just keep you guys apprised as we hear from Mike midweek and send out a message and let people know.
Yeah.
But he did say mid-November.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Yep. So hurry up and wait. That's about it for the phase 2. Yeah.
2025 to 2026 project and spending planning.
So I'm glad Nicole's here. because 2025, I don't know, banners. I don't know if there's much left on there, banners and
Yeah.
sidewalk, but we've sort of put sidewalks on pause
Mhm.
because we're looking at this grant.
Yeah, going federal
Project
project, so.
for those,
Yeah.
so we can put a pause on those. I know in our spending plan, we had certain projects, the Town Hill Garage is done, park amenities are done, concrete improvements at the park are done, Highland Cemetery Road removal, we're working on that.
Are we gonna budget the water department? Is that what we're thinking?
That's what we've done. We did that previously, but as far as budgeting, we look at numbers sort of like year over year. The difference is we break things out in appropriations in most categories like police, radios, all those kind of things. And then we boil down our sewer and water down to supplies, services and charges, wages and capital expenses. So once we spend at the end of the year, we look at where the biggest spends come from. Now that's something there may be a little more to that, but to continue with downtown amenities enhancement, 44,000, we did that. And then the sidewalk program. So that's pretty much all of this year for the redevelopment commission. Why I bring up Nicole is because the redevelopment commission spending and there's portions of our stuff in here with the redevelopment commission. And we're looking to 2026 project spending. We're going to want to get a budget and a spending plan together, formalized to submit to the DLGF like we did last year. Now, this is a newer thing and it's pretty rudimentary, but for our next meeting with everyone here, we may want to talk more and dive more into it if we get a half hour before the next meeting. I think a half hour would be enough to discuss those projects we want to look forward to in 2026. And within here, Nicole, if you have things to add now on the water and sewer side, I think we could discuss that in the regular meeting with attention to the townwide economic analysis report and any questions you have as far as that goes.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this question because I don't remember this.
Okay.
So we use redevelopment commission funds to do the hill garage?
Yeah, we budgeted last year in the amount of
But we had that,
26,000.
I thought we had, yeah, was that RDC money or was it?
Well, it was in the building, town park field garage, building rehabilitation. And I think, though, we may have put dollars in our seeded fund.
Right.
For that.
That doesn't make, I mean, I understand that we didn't have the funds,
Yes,
you know,
exactly.
on this side.
Yeah.
To use this, to use.
Which
this.
is basically,
But I
it's-
don't
we used seeded funds, so we didn't have to redevelop commission. funds.
think, I just wanted to
No
confirm
problem.
that.
Yeah.
I thought that, but this way you were lumping it all together, I thought, oh.
Yeah.
I was hoping we did. I mean, if we
Yeah.
did, it's a mistake we would have made. Sure, you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
But it would.
Yeah, we ended up not. I think we budgeted in there for the safety of seeded and general and park being parks, the amount that's in there was that.
To me, we're much more able to use that redevelopment commission funds for anything we want, in the
Absolutely. Yeah.
versus, use so much of these certain funds on this side. Restricted, right? It's more restricted. So it's better if we can
Yeah,
have those, more of the funds that are in the redevelopment commission for redevelopment, even though.
for
probably should have
unrestricted
figured out-
purposes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yes.
without a restricted fund. that's
Yeah,
what-
I mean, at the end of the day, the money's coming
Right.
anyway. but
Right.
Just, yeah.
I thought it'd be beneficial to have Nick here tonight, as we're talking about park and potential projects for 2026. To, get the park board's feedback on it, see if there's anything that they're planning. To do on their own or anything that they'd like to see us do. This is a good time to start getting that kind of thought process together so we can start preparing for 2026.
So looking at our capital improvement plan, which we can we look more at this as Nicole touches on things. And this is a document I think I would recommend taking home, but under the tab that's city and RDC capital and debt is, a list of our capital projects that our department heads have explored in the coming, 5 years, with including this year's project. And you'll notice they get fewer and fewer. It's this page right here with the list of capital projects up there. But you can see the funding sources split out, like park building updates, benches and trash cans, picnic tables, phase 2 implements, hidden diamond, disc golf, paving, sidewalk grants, remaining LWCF and new downtown light posts are, well, just under the umbrella of the RDC. And that's something we're gonna wanna look at next year. There's not a lot. We have things out to 2029 in there, so there are some, we've sort of spaced them out based on conversations we've had. But we'll be fine tuning that for the life of our plan. So, but just to draw your attention to that, we've got that portion of RDC spending in here now, next to sewer water, next to seeded, next to MV8. So we get a big picture of everything. And then we can, in these meetings and in these budget discussions, we can sort of differentiate between sewer, water, street, general, and RDC. So that is what I would say would be our next steps for the 2026 spending plan. We've got the breakout that we use for 2025, and then we can sort of build knowing if we get the grant, we got time now. We'll hear in mid-November. I think it's the end of November. We have to have that submitted. I'm not sure. I'll have to double check on that, the spending plan. But if we could hear whether or not we've got the grant, then we could know, okay, that 35 to 40,000, that'll be something we put in our DC. Ideally to sort of keep pace with the LWCF improvements and utilizing park dollars RDC dollars for some of those bigger capital asset expenditures versus a building update for 26,000. We squeeze that out of seed that helps us save RDC funds for future projects like grant dollars. And it's always nice to be able to take 20% of a cost of something versus 100% of it. Like the Pill Garage is one of those things that it wasn't a grant project. I'm sure if we would have spent 6 months searching down a grant, we may have found something. But given the other thing was the cost saving on the redevelopment this year, given the downtown improvements that were assisted by the community foundation. So that's something where we had, 30, 40,000 budgeted, but we only had to spend, half of that, not even. I think it was 12 to 14,000, something like that. And we had 20 for the community fund. So in a lot of ways, we've been able to pare back some of the spending in our RDC this year, and that does nothing but help us next year and gives us this year if something was to come up that we sort of have that rescue if entirely necessary. But yeah, we can look next meeting.
We need to make sure tonight because.
So park spending, we can discuss the things we've discussed previously with beautification funds, RDC funds, regular town park funds.
Meeting or the next.
Well, we can discuss them now. We got a few minutes here. If they've touched on any projects, I think is where we're coming from.
Okay, well, we can do it the next meeting when everybody's here. I was just curious if that's what direction you were looking.
Yeah, because we had look at the minutes of the last meeting, and it was to see about any fundraising that they previously did. I know that was discussed.
Yeah.
In order to fund some of those light pole projects, and for the light poles at Norway, it's like, that's going to be something on the agenda, I know. So how can we work over the next 18 months to raise funds on the park board side? And Matt, if it's 50, if we can get a 50-50 out of something, whether it's beautification funds or some fundraising apparatus. I know there was Porta Pit done previously and other things like that, or a community foundation grant from the park board. Joe and I could work with park board members to show you what we did or what Joe did on the previous grant. But those are year over year. So we can put in as many applications as we can on stuff like that.
Yeah, is there any projects you know off the top of your head, Nick, that you're thinking of for 2026?
I know the light poles in Norway is a big one. And then getting electric over to the other
Shelter 3.
Shelter. Another big, that's a big deal. Yeah.
Shelter.
In both are
Definitely that part. Because we got the buffets are going in. We're gonna do those again, so we get some electric that'll just be.
not a full shelter that will go.
So those are the two major ones.
Okay, gotcha.
Anything else, Beth?
Not at the moment, but as we're planning RDC, yeah, Nick, when you guys meet next,
Thursday, yeah.
yep, that's what I thought. Come grab reports. We can circle back again before your guys' meeting and talk more about it. Sure, that's all I got.
Any business team necessary by the council, say anything?
No.
Linda? Josh? No. Eric?
No.
I don't have anything either.
Most to adjourn?
All in favor? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Call the meeting to order, we have approval of tonight's agenda.
Take a motion to approve the agenda.
All in favor? Aye. The approval of the minutes from the October 2025 regular meeting.
Make a motion to approve the minutes from the October 6th meeting.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, moving on. Town ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance establishing updating the schedule of fees, public hearing.
So we will need a motion to open the public hearing for ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance establishing and updating the schedule of fees imposed by the incorporated town of North Judson.
I'll make a motion to open the public hearing for Town Ordinance 2025-06, an ordinance establishing / updating the schedule of fees.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we can solicit any comments anyone has.
Anyone?
We'll discuss these updates pretty substantially and in depth. We've got our publication from the after the last meeting prior to the public hearing. It's all in the documentation there. So we'll just need no comments. And a motion to close the public hearing.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing for Town Ordinance 2025-06.
All in favor?
Then we can conduct our in order to establish / updating the schedule of fees imposed by the incorporated town of North Judson. Ordinance number 2025-06, whereas the town of North Judson imposes fees for various items and services available to its citizens. And whereas the incorporated town of North Judson ordinances reference a schedule of fees for any amount to be imposed, and if not payable, be placed as a lien against property taxes. And whereas the North Judson Town Council deems it necessary to update said schedule of fees, therefore be it ordained by the town council of the incorporated town of North Judson, Indiana, that upon publication and final passage of this ordinance, the following schedule of fees shall supersede any amounts previously established. So now we just need a motion to adopt.
I'll make a motion that to adopt Town Ordinance 2025-06.
Second it.
All in favor?
Okay, we will get this publicized by Wednesday. It will run in the 30th edition, and 30 days after the date of publication, so right around December 1st, this ordinance will go into effect. So I will fill in the dates on the there's only one date on this exhibit A that includes.
What's the date?
Well, that's why I said I'll have to fill that date
Got
in. Yep, very good. So, and then signature from all of you guys. I will
There's no dates on the exhibit, right? Or, I'm sorry, no signatures on the exhibit.
Right.
Just the ordinance.
Yep.
Okay, just one signature. Just. Okay, anything else left on that?
no, open, close, and adopt. We're good.
Good. 2025 comprehensive plan update, steering committee update.
I don't have any updates. Joe, have you spoken with either Edwin or Emily?
No updates from them yet.
No.
We've got the survey in their hand, so
Yep, and I think they will then utilize the survey. We may have it'll be via an ordinance. So once they get that finished up, if they're desirous of any meetings pre adoption of that ordinance and the update to the plan, then we could schedule something ahead of our first meeting in November. Either at that meeting, if they want to discuss, we could put it on the agenda here and here, or if they want time outside where they think there's any discussion involved. Pretty much now we had our meetings and we had our survey out there, which is the basis for those updates and meetings to sort of check boxes of things that have been completed and direction of intent for other goals or action items that were in there previously, or have changed over the years since we first did it in 2019. So we're on schedule, done by the end of the year, and I think it'll be exciting to have that to work off of now with Joe and myself here, sort of dual spearheading a lot of things. We'll see a lot more from it and get a lot more.
It was really nice to see the feedback on the survey, to really confirm that a lot of things that were mentioned in that the public wanted were tracks that we're already heading down.
Yeah.
Things that we're already addressing, have addressed, are looking to address. So it did definitely show us that we're heading in the right direction. So
Yeah, the masses agree with the direction.
yeah, absolutely.
Changes that have been made and all this stuff, I believe.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to town resolution 2025-05. Excess levy appeal petition.
Yes, that town resolution excess levy petition was submitted today to our rep for the DLGF after Joe and myself and Nicole, especially her and her team, assisted with the financials on that, and then some of the narrative portion. We had a couple phone calls where we put together some of the goals I've established already and how we can utilize those to try to ensure we're granted that levy petition. So, Nicole, anything to add?
It's the last year that's available, and they added a lot of questions to the application this year. I have done a few each year for the last couple of years, and this one by far was probably the hardest to fill out to provide reasons of why you need the money. Historically, it was if you were eligible, you get the money. Now it has turned into you have to prove why you need the money. So the financial piece of it makes the town of North Judson look pretty healthy in cash fund. So the narrative piece is really what is going to tie everything together. So fingers crossed for the town.
Thank you for helping.
Yeah.
Okay, good deal. Anything else that Andrew?
Nope.
Town resolution 2025-07, title 6 and 88 plan adoption.
No update there.
Yeah, actually, Mitch would need to be on the meeting, 1st of December, hoping to have all that wrapped up. I know there was, I think you had a little bit
Yep.
of, the required,
4 hours.
yeah,
under
to
my belt.
finish up. So yeah, we're still on track to, have it all signed and taken care of at the beginning of December.
Great, thank you. Moving on to new business, Nicole Grzybowski.
Yeah.
Sound right. Mitchell Municipal Advisors Townwide Economic Analysis Report. Yeah. Thank you so much for doing this for us. Really appreciate it.
So this report should look familiar to you. I have gone over draft 1 of this earlier in the year. Since then, a lot of things have changed. Legislation information has come out more and more every day. In fact, we're still learning more information as the time goes on. So I'm going to hit some high points of things that change from draft 1 to draft 2. And then obviously, if any questions you guys have while I'm going through, I'm happy to dive into details. However, other than that, it's just going to be a very high review of it. So jumping right into the overview and insights. Page 1, nothing has really changed from this page. However, I did kind of want to hit on the net property tax and circuit breaker credits. This graph shows the historical from 2021 to 2025. It's important to note that with all the legislative changes, all of that starts in 2026. We won't actually know the town of North Judson's 2026 circuit breaker credits until spring 2026 when the first round of property tax bills go out. However, the DLGF has estimated that the town of North Judson's circuit breaker credits will increase to approximately 119,000. And the Legislative Services Agency, which I'll also hit on a little bit when we get into the cash flows, they have estimated that the town of North Judson will see an increase to about a little over 112,000. So even though the number is not certain quite yet for circuit breakers 2026, we do know that is anticipated to increase. So that is something to make note of. The next page goes into your assessed value and the certified tax rates. As you can see, the correlation, every time your net assessed value increases, your tax rate tends to decrease. So one piece of information that has been available that's not on this graph is 2026. The 2026 net assessed value for the town of North Judson increased to 62.6 million approximately. So with the increased net assessed value, if the 3-year levy appeal is not awarded to the town of North Judson, we would estimate that the town tax rate would reduce even further to about 1.1649. That was included on the budget cash flows that were provided to you during the budget season. With the levy, if it is awarded, it would just slightly increase from 2025 due to that extra property tax monies, but it would approximately be 1.2628. So not a huge increase for it to be monetarily useful. The next graph shows the local income tax. As you can see, each year this number has steadily increased, and this was one of the things in the first draft that we really weren't certain what the legislative changes were going to do for both buckets of people in the legislative changes, which is cities and towns below 3,500 population and above. We now know that the town or the cities and towns that are below 3,500, they're most likely you won't see much of a change because you would have to petition to the county to receive a portion of their local income tax, which is what you're doing now. The only thing that's going to be iffy is you have to do it every year. So you're having to petition to the county every single year, which is somewhat of a pain. And the second iffy thing is you're not really guaranteed your allocation year over year. So it could shift. You could see high local income tax one year and you could see a low. It all just depends on how the county is going to allocate that tax rate. For reporting purposes, in draft 1, I think we assume 25% of your 2025 certified local income tax amounts. For the purpose of this report, we're assuming that you're going to get the whole amount that you're receiving now, except it's not going to be 2 buckets of local income tax that go into your general fund and your CDIT fund, which is your economic development local income tax. Instead, you're going to receive both buckets of money into your general fund. So it's a pro because your general fund is the least restricted fund. So there's more uses made available. However, the CDIT fund is also not that restricted. If you had a PS lit fund, that would be something that you would probably worry about. But with the 2 funds that you do have, I wouldn't consider it a major issue, especially since what you do spend out of your CDIT currently isn't super recurring. It's more projects that are one-off. So in the assumptions for future, you're still going to receive the current lit structure for 26 and 27. 26 estimates have already come out by DLGF, which have increased from your 2025 amount shown here. And for 2027, we take an average growth rate of the growth that you've received for the last 5 years in your local income tax, and we assume that you're going to continue to see that average growth for 27, and then continuing on to 27 or 28 and 29, assuming you get the full amount that you're currently getting through the county. The next page is a breakdown of your budget to actual. This is going to be the same as last draft, so I'm not really going to hit on that. The next page is a brief overview of the Senate Enrolled Act 1 impacts. A lot of the impacts are going to be phased in over 6 years. So that starts in 2026 and ends in 2031. We really don't know for certain what these monetary impacts are going to be. We have our estimates, but we do know that there's going to be more revenue loss with this phase in. The elimination of the excess levy appeal, I already hit on that previously. This is the last year. And with it being the last year, they ramped up the application process times 100. I felt like so it was an interesting process this year, but Joe and Andrew put in a lot of effort to help get that put together. And the local income tax, that was what I've already hit on in the last page. For the purpose of this report, we don't expect that much will change for the town. We're assuming that you're still going to receive that same level of amount. It's just going to solely be shifted into your general fund. The next page goes over our assumptions, with number one, with the first page being receipts. Starting with the maximum levy growth factor, this is a capped percentage that is set by the state. So with SEA one, the growth was capped at 4%, similar to how it has been in the last couple years. If they didn't put a cap on it, the actual growth rate across Indiana probably would have been 5.6%. So you are losing a little bit of percentage there with the cap, but this is nothing new. This is something they've done for the last couple of years. Number two is your maximum levy allocation. So within the table portion of this section, these are your funds that receive property taxes that can be allocated differently. As you can see in 2024 and 2025, you see those percentages change because we had shifted some property tax monies from the general fund to MVH to help support all of the paving projects that had been happening for the last couple of years. And in 2026, you see that shift back. It's not going to be one for one. We can still tweak it with the 1782 notice review, but you'll see majority of that money is shifted back to general accordingly. Your non-controlled levy is your CCD fund. So that is a fund that also receives property taxes, but instead of growing by that 4% rate, you're actually growing with the growth of net assessed value. So with your net assessed value growing, your property taxes are going to be growing as well. And this has been established to the maximum 5-cent rate. So as long as your net assessed value grows, you're going to see growth in this fund for revenues. Circuit breaker tax credits. That's something that I hit on previously. We truly don't know what it's going to look like, but for the purposes of this report, we did build in the revenue loss that was provided by the Legislative Services Agency. So in order to not double dip in what losses that you would be receiving for the town, we flatlined the circuit breaker percentage to what you actually were receiving in 2025, which was about 10% loss of your property tax and circuit breakers. Local income tax for number 4, I already hit on that, so I'm just going to gloss over to the next page, which then hits on disbursements for 2025 and 2026 and the cash flows. You'll notice that majority of that information is coming from the adopted budget. However, there are some circumstances where for certain funds, we notice that the historical spending has not been the full 100% budget. So we adjust those categories for those funds accordingly, and we'll footnote them on those cash flows. The capital outlays pieces are going to come directly from that capital plan. And since this is the first year, I certainly didn't expect your capital plan to be 100% perfect, but this is a living and breathing document. Because you plan something at the beginning of the year doesn't mean that you're actually going to do it. So as long as Andrew and Joe and all the department heads are keeping communication of what is actually going to be happening and providing us that update, we can keep the capital plan as accurate as possible throughout the entire year. And the goal is, once you really fine tune, obviously the things that are 3-4 years down the road, those are going to change no matter what. But the goal is to get the next year set so that when it comes budget time for 2027 next year, Andrew can just take this capital plan and plug in that capital amount. So he doesn't really have to do all the steps of figuring out where things are going to come from. Another change from the first draft is net assessed value, since we weren't sure what exactly was going to come with the SEA 1 impacts. We had assumed no net assessed value growth. Obviously, that is a bit unrealistic. So this draft has adjusted to show 50% of the average net assessed value growth for all the historical years that are included in our report. So with that, you'll see that the CCD fund changes because we are estimating that the net assessed value will change. The next page is an overall summary of financial results. The top portion with the amounts are simply just telling you if that fund for that year is going to see a cash positive result or if you're dipping into your cash reserves and making it a cash negative. This does not by any means mean that your ending fund balances are going to be negative. If you see a red number in these columns, it just means that you're spending more in disbursements than you're bringing in revenues. And that's not a problem, especially if it's a one-off year. If you're seeing a trend of multiple years like that, where you're spending down the entire cash reserves of that fund, that's where you want to look a little bit further. But as you can see, it's a mixed boat. And the only one that will start to consistently go cash negative is your economic development fund, because starting in 2028, those revenues will no longer go into that fund. So you have to spend down that cash balance in that fund until it's dormant, and then it will just be a non-used fund on your books. The graph below shows the blue teal line is the total cash across all of the funds that are listed above, excluding RDC and utilities. The dotted gray line is 50% of the cash or of the operating disbursements across all the funds. And what that means is if all revenues were to stop tomorrow, you would still have cash reserves to operate for 6 months without receiving any additional revenue. The red dotted line is the absolute lowest that we would ever like to see someone go, and that represents 2 months of cash reserves. And as you can see, the town as a whole in the picture of this document is well above that 50% line that we like to see our clients at.
So wait, let's pause for a second, because I want to make sure I understand what you just said. So by 2028, we will not have redevelopment mission funds.
You will not have economic development local income tax.
You heard it wrong.
I did. I want to make sure I heard it right.
What's weird though is I heard it the same way you did.
Yeah, well, no, we were hearing what we were hearing.
Yeah.
She was speaking the language we were just not following.
Economic
You're
development.
right.
It was our fault.
Your
Yes, totally
redevelopment
are.
commission fund is only receiving interest income and
Yes.
any grant money that you get.
Okay.
That's the only thing that is going into that fund. It's not a property tax fund or local.
Totally different. We're good.
You're good.
I was like,
our house totally.
Yeah. Yes. That's what I heard.
Okay, moving into the cash flows, and I'm only going to hit on general in depth. But I do want to note a couple of things that changed from the last draft. So, pointing to your attention, the yellow highlights, the top yellow highlight in index line 5, this is the amount that the Legislative Services Agency estimates that the town of North Judson will lose. They did provide just one big bucket of loss and not much else. So what we do is we take the allocation of your property taxes and we apply that loss based on that allocation. So they only provided revenue loss for 26 through 28. As I mentioned previously, the impacts don't actually end until 2031. So for reporting purposes, we flatlined the loss from 2028 to 2029. Is that actually going to be how it happens? I have no idea. Another thing I want to point out is I did not bake in the levy appeal amount just because it's so flip of a coin this year. So if you do get that amount, it is an additional, I believe, $62,000, around that range in property taxes, and you can allocate that however. So if you want to allocate it all to MVH or park or all to general, that'll be up to the town come the 1782 notice review. In addition to that, I also want to point out the second highlight, which is the municipal lit. If you remember in the first draft, we were assuming 20 to 25% of your 2025 local income tax. We're now assuming that you're still going to get that full bucket. And that's why this fund almost shows a false positive for 2028 and 2029, because you are receiving more revenues into this fund for those years. However, once the seeded funds are completely spent down, that's going to have to be absorbed somewhere, and it's most likely going to be the general fund. So you may not see a direct impact of that come 28, 29, or even 2030, but maybe in year 2031, you're going to have to start shifting some of those budgets away from the seeded since it's not receiving revenues anymore. The operating disbursement section, like I said, is 2025 and 26 are going to show the budgets, unless footnoted that it was adjusted to reflect actual historical budget usage. And I did take the 6/30/2025 information, annualize it to see if you were going to come out approximately the same. So that has been adjusted for the 2025 column. But other than that, the capital outlays, like I mentioned, are going to come directly from that capital improvement plan. So it might not match the budget one for one. I did try to marry the two as much as I could for projects that were on our list to update those amounts. But again, this is going to be a living and breathing document. This is going to continuously be updated as long as those communications are sent to us. The graph below is really the only thing that you're going to need to take away in the cash flow section. And the bar graphs represent your total operating disbursements. That just shows you the trend of how much you're going to be spending. That green blue line is your cash balance. And the red line is that 50% operating balance line that I mentioned previously on the previous graph. That's the goal that we like to see for all funds. You'll see some funds dip below it one year and rise back above the other. That's fine, especially for your street funds, which is where you'll see that trend happen most. And that's just simply tied to projects that you have within those years that are spending down, dipping, and then as long as you're building it back up before the next project, it shouldn't be a problem. As you can see, the general fund is well above both the 50 and the 15% line. The next fund is the MVH fund, which also receives property taxes. So you're going to see that yellow highlight of the LSA loss included here. But if you look down to the graph, we're estimating that the cash balances are going to be above that 50% mark for all estimated years that we're showing. The next fund is local road and street. Nothing has changed with this fund. This is not a property tax or local income tax fund. It's simply gas tax. So that is pretty much going to stay steady over the years, and it's most likely going to be tied with any projects that you're doing on the street side. For example, there was a budget for capital outlays in this fund for 2026, but I had not tied it to a project on capital improvement plan, so I didn't put it in. It's fine to budget capital items on your budget because you truly don't know what you're going to do. But capital outlays are also one that it's easy to do an additional appropriation if it's needed when the project comes. So also something, but again, the cash balance on the graph is well above. MVH restricted, this is the restricted side of 201, or now 2201. And this is the other half that receives gas tax. Again, most of these capital outlays are tied directly to projects as well. You'll see the dips and flows depending on the project size. But I think 2025 was the last big project year for a while at least. So slowly building those reserves up for the next big project. Next is park and recreation, another property tax fund. So you're going to see that LSA loss amount. And this was one where when I compared the 6/30/2025 annualized amounts, the disbursements were a little bit higher than what I had in the first draft. So I adjusted that for 2025 and 2026 accordingly. But again, looking at the graph, the cash balance is well above that 50% line. Through local law enforcement continuing education. This did not change from the previous draft. Again, there's a slight cash deficit each year. So obviously, as the years go on, you will most likely be drawing this balance down unless for some reason the revenues increase. This used to be where the gun permits would go, but since that went away, it's more small charges for services that flow into this account. Next is your cumulative capital improvement. This is solely funded by cigarette tax, another good fund to use for projects coming down the pike. If you don't utilize it, like historically for 2022 through 2024, that balance is just going to accumulate. And then it's perfect for a small capital project down the road. Cumulative capital development, another property tax fund, but again, this one's rate driven. So you'll notice the tax rate at the bottom is going to stay the same as your property tax increases with the increase of net assessed value. Again, another fund that's pretty much only used for capital outlays. So this, I would assume if you let this sit, this would probably take the place of some of that seeded project money in the future. Economic development and or seeded. This is the fund that will no longer be receiving revenues in 28 and 29, as you can see from the revenue section that's highlighted. There are some recurring budgets in supplies and other services and charges, though they kind of fluctuate year over year and what's actually being spent out of there. So that would probably be something that I would charge Andrew and Joe with, just fine tuning what's recurring and what's coming out of here. So when the time comes, when that budget needs to be moved, you know exactly what you're gonna do. Otherwise, a lot of it's just capital outlays or CCMG matches. The next fund is local road and bridge. This is obviously your CCMG fund, and this is where you spend the money for the projects, including the matching and the grant monies for the paving projects that you have planned. That can change. The last fund that we have on the civil side is your RDC fund, your Redevelopment Commission General. This is one, like I said, that is solely funded by either income tax or whatever grants that you receive. I did update the interest income for 2025 to increase from the previous draft, since we did have 630 information to be able to see where interest income might come out by the end of the year. Other than that, it's really just the park projects that are flowing through to this account. But as Andrew is completing the spending plan for 2026, we'll be sure to get that information and update our plan with it as well. That flows into the capital improvement plan in the next section. Again, this is something that we'll need to fine tune as the years go on. There's no reason why we can't make updates mid-year, even if we're not providing you a full report. So anytime that there are adjustments to this, we're happy to make the changes on our end. The rest is the same, so I'm not going to go over it. However, I did want to hit on sewer and water ever so briefly, because we did receive the 630 information. So I just wanted to see how we were shaking out compared to what we had budgeted for 2025. Unlike the civil funds, the utilities are not required to adopt a budget. They're not required to pass additional appropriations if they're going to be going over budget. The budgeting is really just for town management and utility management to make sure that you're not spending through your cash reserves. And as 630, sewer operating did reduce in balance, still above the minimum required balance, but that's also just something we want to watch as the year continues. I compared the revenues to the 630 information as well, and we were about 45 to 48% of what we budgeted for revenue for 2025. So right about that 50 mark, which is what you want to see at 630. For the operating disbursements, sewer was around 58% of that total operating disbursement line. So slightly above that 50%. It could be that there were some one-off charges that increased the operating disbursement budget. But again, something that Andrew will just want to review going forward, ending the year, making sure that you're not spending too much of that cash reserve balance. Similar for water. There was also a decrease in the operating fund. However, the revenues were all coming in at 48 to 52% of the total revenues that we had estimated. So right on the money for the revenues. The operating disbursements were coming in around 62% of the total budget at 630. So a little bit over, 12% over that 50% that you would typically want to see yourself at 630. So again, as you're just finishing out the year, making sure that just no frivolous spending is happening so that you stay within your budget means is fine. But yeah, that's essentially the report, the updated report in a nutshell. I know I hit on a lot, as I do every time I come here. So thank you for bearing with me. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Yeah, so the water and sewer rates, we should probably have another one of those coming up soon, shouldn't we?
So with this report, we're seeing it in real time and we're able to project it out. I wouldn't think that you would need a water or sewer increase in the next, yeah, maybe not until a few years down the road. But that's why it's important to look at the budget and make sure that you're staying within the budget, because that is what's gonna keep your rate lower. Obviously, you can't control one-off events, you can't control increase in prices. So if the trend continues where you're continuously spending down that operating balance, that's when we need to look at potentially doing a rate.
So in my time here, what I've noticed is when I first started, 2016, there was or 2016, there hadn't been a study done for, let's just say 8 years, 9 years, 10 years, maybe it's been longer than that. And then we played catch up, and it was rough for a while. Then it happened to us again, like sort of, where it snuck up on us and like, oh, we have to do another study, and oh, we have to do another rate increase. I just think sometimes we wait too long, even though we know about it. Now we're still waiting too long.
Right.
So I don't want us to get into a point where the last rate increase was last year or whatever that was. I think
It was
2020.
phased in, yeah.
Right. We did it in cycles, right? We did it over 3 years, I believe. So I just don't want it to happen again where, 2029, here we are.
No, certainly, yeah, certainly,
15% or something.
right.
We need to start working on it at 27 or
Right.
something, so we don't hit that.
You're
again.
aiming for like a 3% increase rather than. a
Exactly,
catch-up of a
because
10. Yeah.
the first time it was really bad. And I don't know
It was
that
15
anybody besides
years.
Joe was here when we did that. He was in his position. And it was rough.
Yeah.
And then even the second time, again, not to be sound redundant, but it was rough that time too, because we were looking at a pretty large increase. I don't know which side, was it sewer? I was looking for.
Yeah, it was sewer and it was around the COVID time frame. So
Okay.
with everything jumping up as far as cost for,
Yes, that makes sense.
that's where we got, we were turning really nice, and then obviously COVID hit, and then everything
Yeah,
jumped
because
up.
you adjust on bonds, so I'm assuming
Yeah.
the rates were adjusted with.
17 and 18 is where it was done.
But then we had to do it again.
Yeah.
22,
Yeah.
23.
Yeah.
So that 4 to 5 year period, it was like, oh, okay, we're good.
We thought we were.
Well,
good.
COVID
beginning,
had a
we-
ramp up.
We increased pretty significantly,
Yeah.
and we thought we were gonna be fine, and then we found out 3 years later, 2.5 years later,
Right.
okay, we're not, we gotta do it again.
Right.
It was a
I don't
year
wanna wait
later. It was a year.
5
later.
years.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a year later. It was
Okay,
from
well, I don't wanna
22
wait 5 years
23.
and say, well.
So I would recommend after we get the full year 2025, since all of the rate increases are fully phased in at this point, if we're seeing a negative trend, it might be worth doing a 2%, 3% increase now to avoid a 10, 15 in 2 to 3 years.
Which is, I think, much more manageable for some of the folks in this town.
Yeah.
Overall outlook.
So that's why I wanted to bring up the usage so far through 2025, just to put it on your radar, because if you are spending down some of that cash reserves that you just built up from your previous rate increases, that's something that we'll want to either adjust if you can on the spending side, and if you can't, then that's when we go to a rate increase. All right.
Just below the state average.
Well, and I think I hit on this last time, but that state average, I think, is even low for now for what people are experiencing, because they are also seeing large increases. And so to avoid doing the full increase in 1 year, a lot of their rate increases are over 2 to 3 years. So that's for 2025, but come 2027, that's probably not even close. So
We're gonna be,
Right.
and the state average is gonna be up here, right.
Yeah. But we'll be even lower.
right.
Bill, have any questions?
No, that was good.
Anybody?
Good.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thanks
Very
Always a
much.
pleasure.
Okay, we're moving on. Guest recognition tonight, up first tonight. Cole, you don't have anything else for us, do you? Have a safe trip.
Thank you for your assistance with the audit too. Yeah.
Don Henry, you are up.
Good evening.
Yeah.
Our next Mid Festival meeting is November 20th, and our fall/holiday fair is November 2nd at Liberty Elementary, noon to 4, I believe, something like that.
Yep.
And so we already have quite a few vendors and things like that. So we're expecting it to be a very successful day for us and for the community.
What's the time again?
Beautiful. Could be like 40 vendors there too, so
Yeah.
check it out.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's be a full house.
Yeah.
Right.
That's wonderful. Yeah. Anything else for us?
I think that's it. Thank you.
Okay, very good. Moving on tonight to Mr. Grant.
Nothing unless something comes up.
Okay, thank you. Kathy, Steve Lucas.
Thank you. We said we'd keep you updated on the trail progress, and I don't know if you've noticed, but there's paving going on. It's really taken off. I went to a meeting the other day, and I was reporting that they had compacted aggregate over the whole thing. And somebody said, I just drove by and they have asphalt. So I don't know if you want to see a couple of pictures I had, if you've.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I drove that way and saw the little triangle. There was some action through there, but I had asphalt.
I had, I think 3 or 4 people text me super excited. They're like, they're extending the trail. They're doing it. It's like, so, yeah.
And then we
so-
had people that were like, what are they doing?
Yeah, I didn't see them today. They're heading down Lake Road. They're
Yeah.
heading to the north right now. But
Sometimes
yeah.
the hard part for us though is, I know it's not to sound negative, but they equate this with us doing the work versus the Prairie Trail Club or someone else that's involved in this. It isn't something that the town is actually paying for.
Right.
Great.
Oh, right.
So we get.
But you could if you want.
I understand that, but you know, we can't even have this, but we can have them do that.
Oh,
You know, we get
yeah.
that back and forth. Yeah. And then
Right.
somebody has to go in there and explain, oh, it's grant money and, it's.
You
Take
can
back and
also
forth.
tell them we have bake sales, we have.
You do funny, right?
We do all kinds of things to make money. But this particular picture is English Lake Road and off the triangle, this road comes here, crosses English Lake Road and goes through this wooded area. And I particularly like the wooded area because on a hot summer day, it's going to feel really nice. And this is what it looks like as you enter that wooded area.
I did not know that was paid. Yeah, no.
Yeah, it paved all the way to the other end. I didn't bring that picture. And you may have noticed there's like a retaining wall that's going in along the active or close to the active track. And we had to do that, but I think it's going to look nice. The other thing is Joe and I had a long conversation. I said, I'm not going to take much of your time, but I did. We had a meeting the other night and we are hoping to do a 5K run, 3K walk, Saturday of Memorial Day weekend. And HVRM's representative was at the meeting where we discussed it. And he said he thought they would want to be involved and have some activities that coordinate. We're hoping the town will want to do some things like that, or we get a lot of people from out of the county at these runs. We have it's a chipped race so that you have official times that people can then take to another race.
Yes.
And qualify. That's not cheap, but it's worth it, I think, because that's what brings in our people from other counties. And the other thing we are hopeful of is that we might have a ribbon cutting that day of the trail and its amenities. But the thing is, it's going so fast, I'm not sure, it's not going to be too late.
Stay ahead of it, right?
So,
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what the schedule is, but I just wanted to answer any questions you may have.
What's the route gonna be? Is it gonna be?
It starts at Main Street, goes along the I'm going to call it the outer rails of HBRM's yard, and it's going to cross Mulberry Street, go through that triangle, which we're hoping is going to be a pocket park of some kind, and then it'll tie back in. It's going to cross English Lake Road, go down the wooded area, and end up along English Lake Road. We didn't have enough money to go as far as we wanted, but that is the general area. It's going to have some nice curves.
Is there anything needed from us for that? What's the date on that?
It's I would forget it. The 24th
Memorial Day, yeah.
Memorial Day Saturday.
Okay, so
Memorial Day.
And what they were looking for, I think, our meeting with the Prairie Trails Club was maybe the town interested in sponsoring the timekeeping method for their 5K as being a sponsor.
Think about it. that's really our biggest concern is just having it. We make some money, but it's really not a money-making event. The 5K is to raise awareness, to let people know where it is. Because even today, I have people on the existing trail. I have people say, there's a trail? So the idea is have an event in the town, that includes HVRM, and brings everybody together, whether they want to walk or ride or skate. So
Kathy, you had a rough estimate of the cost of that?
what is it this year? Do we know? It was $850 last year.
About $1,000.
But I mean, he may have the same price. We haven't engaged him yet, but it's TNH Timing out of Jasper.
Cheaper than I thought. Usually those timing things are pretty, I know they're $1,000.
Well, you know, everybody has a bib, everybody has a chip on there, and it's very hard if people come across the line at the same time, you know.
Well, and the true runners, I will say, if you don't have a timing thing, they're not coming.
No, that's exactly right.
I do know that. I know a little bit about that from the festival stuff we do down. So I do know that. So it is important.
It is important, and again, I think what we're trying to do is get people to start coming into the town, know that there are amenities here that they can use. And it's just fun to have people from other places come in. It's also, I will say, it is also, at least this year, it was the same weekend that our Warriors came through. And so that would be kind of a fun thing to include. They were very sorry that they missed the 5K. They got in on Sunday. We had the 5K on Saturday. So we might try to adjust that. But these are the combat veterans who are going cross country on their bikes. And they're a really fun group of people to meet. They're very, inspiring to hear their stories and so forth. So we may be able to sort of include that into
That'd be great.
the mix. I think you would enjoy meeting some of them.
We love good ribbon cutting too.
Okay, I'll tell them to slow down.
I think we'd like to hear if you have particular concerns, if there's something we should be sensitive to that, and like you said, John, you get the other side of the kind of the circle. Is there anything like that we should be tuned into that you know of that we're?
No, I think most people are just for lack of a better term, ignorant of facts. They just don't know the facts of where the money comes from, basically, the reason for running it. Everything always goes back to the town.
Yeah.
You know, most of the guys that are here every day, and then us, essentially.
Yeah.
So I just brought that up as I remember that.
That's a good thing to
reading
bring up.
that, just knowing that, I think Nate put that. I don't know how you put that out there, that sometimes you guys are the leaders and the entity of the entity. And
You're welcome
make
to
this-
say,
you guys.
good or
make this
bad, it's our
happen. I don't know how that's broadcasted, but that's just something that needs to be probably put out there. It's no different than that festival. I mean, we eat a lot of garbage from that festival, and it's improved. It's improving. It's still improving. So we try to separate that. We have a little bit of a hole there with stuff, but we don't want to run the Met Festival just like your guys' stuff. It's your guys' stuff is nearly as large as theirs. You just have more events.
We try to educate.
well,
That's it,
and
yeah.
That blame credit dilemma.
yeah, exactly.
We should happy to take
It's like how
credit
it goes.
for all the good things you're doing, but we like to give credit for
Really,
credit.
I don't think people know how much
Yeah.
behind the scenes
Yeah.
unpaid volunteers do for that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah, right.
It's a challenge, and we've had issues with maintenance, and people come by and say, well, they need to do this or they need to do that, and it's like, we are they.
Yeah.
And we're getting old.
Yeah.
But we have, as to the trail costs, so that we get 80% from the state of Indiana Department of Natural Resources. Our last project was, they just gave us a chunk of money at the beginning and we had to pay along the way. This time it's a reimbursement grant, which means I just wrote a check for $31,000. I'm the treasurer. I wrote a check for $31,000 and now I have to wait for state of Indiana to pay us back. Yeah.
The advance are great because the reimbursement is
You guys,
the
just,
cycle.
out of curiosity, maybe you guys haven't seen it, but do you have a Facebook page or do you have?
Yes, we have a
you do? Okay.
Facebook page.
Maybe
and-
I've been on it, I just don't.
Yeah, I'll give you a link.
Mhm.
It's prairietrailsclub.org is our website.
Yeah.
And on Facebook, it's just Prairie Trails Club. And it'll come
I'm
up.
probably following it. I just don't remember it. It's all.
Yeah.
If you don't post a lot, it doesn't show up, then algorithms kind of
Yeah,
push them a certain way, so. And the
sure.
other thing, maybe some sort of write up in the leader would help too. I don't know how often, there's anything.
It'd be
in
nice
there.
to have a feature that explained these things.
Exactly,
So-
right? Just to say who you are and what you're doing here and why you're doing it, because
I will
it's
send
gonna
you
connect
one.
with a different crowd with patients.
Yeah.
I read leader, I still do, I still read, but there's a whole generation. Andrew, younger than Andrew, he might be the younger one here. Kim, I don't know, but Eric, that don't read leader, that have nothing. to do with it. But I think that would help connect too, because they need to know what you guys are doing and what the goals are and how you're trying to connect, county to county and
Well, and
what the
across,
big picture is
across
across
the
the United
US.
States. Exactly.
And
Yeah, that's the big picture,
I think you're making an excellent point, and you can just see people's eyebrows raised when we say this is a transcontinental trail, and when those warriors come through on their bicycles, they start at the memorial at Washington DC, and they go to the Pacific Ocean.
I went to the end of it in San Francisco.
Pardon?
I went to the very Golden Gate.
Oh, yeah.
Park area there. It's pretty amazing. I think a big one too is the market, which is free. For a while, they were asking me to give pictures and write-ups about all the projects we had going on, and I sent them an email this long. But they're always supportive of putting stuff out there for it, just hey, here's what's going on. Anyway, if you had 5 or 6 pictures and then a write-up in the middle, they would give you a half page, a full page. I won't say that for free, but they did that for us just to get the word out about what all is going on that people may not know. There's some people that haven't might not have seen the park yet.
Yeah.
That was a year ago that it finished up. I wouldn't doubt that at all. Exactly. So the market is another avenue. It's always sitting there, always grab one, so.
Right.
Yeah.
Some ideas I think would help.
We appreciate that, and if you have something the town would like to, do.
Yeah.
You're welcome to send a
We
meeting
would be a
anytime.
part of it. I want to get a table with a little emblem on it, like something like this, or a tent that for these events, we could be out there
Yeah.
with resources of, our business cards, flyers, things going on, the dates of our makers markets, those kind of things, just to catch people as they're walking by at the gate. So we'd be happy to come and join the event
Super.
like that.
Super, very good. Well, thank you. I don't want to take
Yep.
too much of your time, but we appreciate your support.
I'm
We
gonna
appreciate
add
you.
that if you will communicate with the school, we have a school messenger that we send out information. That goes to 1,200 emails, phone numbers.
Right.
So like if you create a flyer for your race, if you'll get that to us,
Okay.
we
Okay,
can send that out and help you out.
How do we physically do that? How do we get
I
it
was
to
gonna
you?
give him a card.
Yeah, I'll give you a card as well.
First I'm getting my card is. Silver.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, nice to connect all that. There you go. We're gonna move on to departmental representative reports. Andrew, you're gonna be up first night, clerk treasurer.
Great. I've just got one PO.
Wonderful.
Actually, I want to start with
I guess.
adjustment request, not the PO. We've got customer adjustment request for consideration account 677 quadruple zero. Request credit on health due to elite causing high consumption. The issue has been addressed, but they're requesting a credit down to their average amount, which would become 265.26. That's account 6770000.
I'll make a motion. We approve the customer adjustment request for account number 6770000.
Second it.
All in favor?
They appreciate that greatly. We've got PO 2885 to Troyer Group for Hidden Field ITC Indiana Trails Program professional services through 9/30 and the amount of $4,700.
Make the motion. We pay PO 2885.
Second it.
All in favor?
And they appreciate it. I just have one, and that's an audit update. My team here has worked diligently in the last week as I was out getting information to our auditors, and they came back with just 3 questions, 2 on one side, a payroll question, and then 1 on a annual reporting question of our capital asset that I was able to clear up and answer within 2 minutes. So that is all tidied up on Sean's end. We've got one other issue, where we're discussing utility billing and how we've been doing it with Baker Tilly for the past, when I was a kid. So, we had the same issue last time where the calculations of gallons, meter size and all that goes into the, we passed the ordinance that we consult with Baker Tilly on, we get that ordinance to Keystone, Keystone puts those numbers in, and there are our billings. So, just working that formula out, I know Nicole has already circled that square and contacted, or got back with us to give their sort of version of here's how we calculate utility bill. So, and John has received that. He will be in office tomorrow, our lead examiner, John, and taking the information from Nicole and what Karis provided, I'll be able to provide insight as well in order to get that question cleared up, and that'll be it. We'll be scheduling an exit conference. So it's gone incredibly smoothly. I appreciate the staff here so much for their work to help make that happen. I think I had, I don't know, a total of an hour and a half or so on calls and looking at email last week to make any questions they had to clear up. And then the remaining ones were super simple, and I was able to point to some minutes and Joe's initials on some capital asset reporting that we do, which is why we initial everything and why we double and triple check things for that exact purpose. So it's there on paper. So when they come, we're able to say, yep, 2 eyes saw it. Here's what it is. So I applaud my team. I greatly appreciate it, and Joe's help as well to help make the week out not too stressful. That's all for me.
No dates yet for that exit.
No, not yet.
Will you talk to us?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yep. It'll include
Please.
everybody.
At least me and Tim will be there, right?
Everybody. Yep. Everybody will get an invite. Yep. For sure. For the exit. And we wanted to publicize for it. It's an SBOA called meeting. I guess you could say we'll be back there. So hopefully we're wrapped up by the middle of the next week, or we can get that scheduled.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. Anything else?
No. And with that in mind, evenings better on most of your guys' end, I'm guessing. Evenings would be-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
we know they're daytime people, so I'm not sure how we're gonna be able to work it.
We
They'll
work-
have to work
we
at
work
5:30, you know.
And then later, I guess.
5:30 is probably the earliest we want to lean on. Okay, 5:30, I figured. All right, I'll put that down and I'll make sure they know 5:30.
If they need all of us, if all of us have to be there.
I know everybody
It's
gets
just a
an
daytime,
invite,
you know, like I'm sure myself and Linda and Josh could be here.
or
You got
be
your
able to get on
house.
Zoom and do that as well, to offer that capability
Yeah.
on Zoom as well.
Yeah.
So, but regardless, if it's after 5:30, if they got that.
You can Zoom during the day, right?
I can figure something out.
Right.
It just depends on, every day varies for me. It just depends.
But if Zoom is possible, but first push will be for after 5:30 or later.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
Moving on to school board. Kelly, it's your night from the school.
Yeah. I have a list.
Nice.
Yeah. Probably heard about our EV Grand Prix. Our kart racing team is up and running and participated in the fall race at Purdue. 17 teams. We were one of those. The others in the area are like Lowell, Duneland, Mishawaka, and then then there's North Judson. And I got down there and we were running fast. And we were on pace to finish 5th out of 17. We got tangled up with Lowell and destroyed both those cars. So back to the drawing board on those. It said it was fun while it lasted. The robotics teams have more than 30 kids involved across all grade levels, and that is taking off like gangbusters. Just today, and Joe Clifford, if you ever get a chance to meet him, he's our PLTW robotics, carts, the drones. He's our engineering pathway that we hired this year. Just today he informed me we got a drone grant. So he's going to have a call out meeting to put together a drone team. And they're going to send 3 drones and a game board. And when you're talking about a board, it fills a room about this space.
Yeah.
And if any of those, if you've ever been to something like that, last year I went and watched them at the state finals with the robotics, and it's something. Just this past Saturday, 5 local union tradesmen from out of Northwest Indiana came and donated materials and their time on a Saturday. And they put a partition wall up to section off our welding bays away from the masonry bricklaying lab. So that was all in-kind donations and that's off and running and doing very well. NJSP High School has 5 students in the running for the Lilly Scholarship. So I think that's the most we've ever had. So they're competing for that. We've put them through some practice interview rounds and trying to get them ready to see if they can basically win, a bit of a lottery ticket. Yeah, there to go to school. Primary grades have significantly improved attendance rates, so that's going well. On the sports side of things, the girls golf team had a historically great season this year. Did a few things that's never been done before. The volleyball season had another strong year, came up just a little short this weekend, and the football team is sitting at 7-2. Tomorrow night's board meeting, the agenda, we got the 3 principals are on the docket to give an update on the start of the school year, and probably a little redundant of the things I just shared with you. The board's also going to get another update on, we are trying to potentially remodel the high school science rooms. Many of us in this room had those science rooms.
Yeah.
They were in bad shape when we had them, so those are 50 years old now. They're showing their age. So the board's taking a real hard look at that project. And then also further discussion on the design phase of a standalone masonry / alternative school building. Also something we're looking at with our latest bond money. So those are the things that we're going to talk about some more tomorrow night and get some presentations.
Exciting.
Yeah, got a lot of good things going. So any questions?
I'd just like to say to Mr. Shepherd, I was at the game Friday night. I seen a robotics team in action. They built this a t-shirt shooter that they had this robot driving on the track and shooting t-shirts, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, just the kids, lighting up seeing that, and just it was great.
I got to tell you. So yeah, they had the cart that they had already put back together on display there by the concession stand Friday night. They had 3 iterations of a robot that would shoot the t-shirt cannon up into the bleachers.
Awesome.
So in between each quarter, fired about 4 or 5 t-shirts up there. There were a few duds, but for the most part, it was pretty awesome.
It worked out great.
Yeah.
It was. We heard it before we saw it. We're sitting there, and all of a sudden you hear,
yeah,
what's going on? It's only lighting off
But
fireworks. All of a sudden, here you see this robot. It was great.
So the kids are really responding great to these new, different things. And I had a kid, one of the drivers of the cart, and he looks at me one day, a serious look on his face, and he goes, "Thank you." I'll tell you what it was. It was on the parade day, homecoming parade, and it was downtown here. He looked at me, he said, "Thank you," and I said, "For what?" And he's sitting in the cart, and he goes, "For this."
Yeah.
Really, kids are really loving it. So
Yeah, you would,
yeah.
I'm sure not long ago, you look back and think these are things that we would never even.
Oh,
We've done the same thing. We've done that. We're like, will we ever think that we do the certain things
Right.
we've done? No. 10, 15, 20 years ago, even when we were kids, you probably will never be a part of something like that. But
right.
it's nice to see that we're evolving and people are grabbing onto it.
It's really
Because
cool.
change is not easy.
No,
We all
no.
get those bumps, and it's really good to see that.
It's a really good era right now, I can tell you, because 15, 20 years ago, when I was the high school principal, the education world was still thinking we're sending everybody to 4-year college. And that wasn't successful. Now we've got a nice mix, and I feel like we're providing things to every single kid. It's there.
Well, sure.
Whatever you want, it's available to you. I will tell you, so in the springtime is the big Purdue Grand Prix race. If you ever want to see something really cool, when I get that date, I'll share it with you. So if you can get away for the day, it's like, can't believe we got high school kids out doing this.
Something different too, something
It is.
totally
It's really
different,
cool.
yeah.
Very cool. All right, thank you very much.
I will say, Mr. Shepherd brought up about the Lilly Scholarship stuff. I've been involved with the Lilly Scholarship the last couple of years as the town's representative. And it should be, you should take great pride in the way they are picking these finalists. It's all blind.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't know where the kid is going to school. You don't know if it's male, female. You don't know anything. They do a great job doing this. So when they announced the 6 finalists, and 5 of the 6 were from North Judson. I was blown away, was very impressed. So you should be very proud of these kids.
Really
That's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah, thanks for pointing that out, Joe. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Loves.
All right, thanks for being here. We move on, Billy Inspector, Tony's up with us tonight, has anything from Tony?
He's had some permits, some electrical stuff. I know he's working through some. He's doing the electrical permit on our side, and then he's got to email NIPSCO, give them the information. There seems to be a lag there. And it's not on Tony's side or anything. It's just the process NIPSCO is using. We've had issues with it when Nick was doing it. We've had issues when Todd was doing it. It just seems to be a NIPSCO problem.
Yeah, they don't get in a hurry for nothing.
No,
They take
not
a
at
month
all.
or two to even set stuff up sometimes.
So yeah, I know we do take some, upset folks here, hey, I've asked for this electrical inspection and our inspector's done his part. And now it's in NIPSCO's hands. And unfortunately, it stinks because we'd love to tell them something else besides, hey, it's NIPSCO's fault.
Blame.
Yeah, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's where we're literally at. It's, their system isn't very user friendly. It's usually, call centers, things like that. I mean, we're even experiencing it. We've had some issues with some road cuts they haven't repaired yet, and some valve issues that we've had on Lane Street for years that we've reached out to various NIPSCO reps to no avail. And finally, we've got a rep that we're trying to work with right now that we've got a little seemed like had some luck last year.
Yeah,
So
back here.
yeah, so we're reaching back out to try to get some of these things. But yeah, we took a complaint last week of someone hitting. They're like, I want to complain about Lane Street. There was a big bump, and I said, somebody I said, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's on the east side of the road, right? Yep, you're exactly right. It broke my axle. And I said, unfortunately, it's not ours. It's a NIPSCO gas valve that. Yes, it is. It's a bump. We've talked to them multiple times over the last 6 or 7 years. Our hands are tied, but we'll reach out again. So yeah, we know their system is a little flawed, and we appreciate everyone trying to work with us to get the responses we need.
Okay, very good. Moving on to the code enforcement. Frank, you have anything with that?
Just some improvements, I guess, if there's silver linings and some stuff that's happened recently. The Timothak Properties, that letter that went out with Mr. Ernie Banks, and Harry Tolson and stuff. Some of the families coming in, they're really gung-ho about rectifying these situations that we've been dealing with for a lot of years. And they're really steamrolling that. So we'll see some big improvements pretty quickly, I think. So that's good. Yeah, I think that's it for code enforcement.
Thank you very much. Unsafe, anything with that, Andrew?
No, that falls into that. Yeah,
Okay.
no.
BCA Planning Commission? Nothing with that,
Nothing
right?
received recently, not that I.
Very good. Redevelopment Commission, what?
Yeah, we're looking to maybe 6 PM. If we don't have anything with the next meeting prior to with the comp plan. If we don't have anything with comp plan, we'll look at 6 PM for a redevelopment commission, come with a little tighter draft around 2026.
Great.
And everybody, if they want to look in here, the diminished number for 26 was in anticipation of potentially a bigger LWCF at 27. So just pay attention to those A1 capital spending plan with the RDC in there. I think it was only about 47.6, I think was budgeted next year, 47,600 for things within the redevelopment commission to do. We'll be looking for 27 to be a little bigger here.
That's all. Very good. Moving on to park. Do we have anything more to park?
No.
I just had some notes jotted down. I didn't know Nick was gonna leave. I had a couple notes jotted down, but I wanted to talk a little more about fundraising, but that's more for him. So when he comes in, talking about that. I also did notice, I don't know how it benefits us maybe through patrolling, but the lighting in there is just so dark through the park. I don't remember being dark like that. And when I was a kid, like when you look where the ball fields are, just basically through there and on the other side. I mean, I don't know if they're missing street lights or if, maybe it was just me, but I went through there. If you would have turned off those pickleball lights probably through there, it would.
Oh, it's been black.
It is. And I don't think we should do something about it. Do you think we have riffraff onto there because of that or?
I mean, well, sometimes we'll see the guys will make contact with somebody just hanging out under the pavilions at night, you know, some young folks. And we generally run them off, let them know the park hours, you know, close the dark, whatever. Generally don't have, we haven't had a lot of vandalism or anything to speak of. Kim have a
So,
couple incidents.
Just
Not a lot.
going through there, I think it'll benefit us, maybe on our plan, you know, we're looking to spend for the park. If we just put in some lights, maybe back in the corner where the, you know, like the south, northwest corner in there by the big field somewhere maybe,
You know,
or.
it's a shame we couldn't refurbish or rehab the lights at Norway Field that we're looking to replace. Be able to reuse them along that trail backside there, you know what I mean?
Some of that stuff, though, you're talking about the difference in technology and the cost. It's almost not worth it.
Oh,
And I'm not saying that's.
sure, yeah.
Yeah,
But you don't know,
yeah,
yeah, if they were.
even if just the pole.
Yeah,
Not
exactly. And it's probably out of the realm. I've looked at we've got websites because I always wanted to do lighting that is sort of recessed but not visible, but you see the lights, almost footlights along Norway Field where the mural is on the sidewalk. Underneath that lip, if you had lighting there that was shining out, it would look really good. So looking at those websites and the lighting, I completely sympathize with your sentiments there. It's not.
Tomorrow I can get some poll numbers and see potentially if we do have some street lights or something that is already there, but maybe they're not working. And we
Yeah.
just need to let.
Could be, 'cause I thought I remember, so when I was there, I
It
remember
does seem really dark.
there was, I thought I remembered in the back corner there being a light that used to come on.
Yeah.
Or maybe we could even look into some kind of solar, big LED solar lights. They make these big panels now. Solar, we could put some.
Just at least give us a little bit of.
If there
We
were
don't have to spend, thousands of
Yeah,
like
back.
And it doesn't have to light anything up like a Christmas tree, but
No.
light it up so that you could see if somebody was over there.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly, right, yeah. I don't think we're looking to
Yeah.
relook out there. I think it's just,
Yeah.
kind of shed some light over it.
Yeah, I'll take a look tomorrow and see what we.
Yeah, both sides really. Even on the other side.
Yeah, I know that south side's always felt really dark.
Yeah.
too.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Now the north side is too. That pickleball looks like I don't feel the dreams.
It's a big thing.
It's really like, yeah.
Imagine being there when it goes on.
Yeah, well, I can imagine.
Yeah.
It's
in front of your face. It's your hand in front of your face, yeah.
Okay, that's all right, thank you. Police, Frank, you're up next.
Nothing super exciting. Things are going really well. We got our fourth person in. Obviously, we talked about that last time. Things are going really well. Schedules are straightening out. So that's all good stuff. I do have a purchase order number 2880 for that most recent officer for a vest carrier and armor for a total of $1,328.00.
Who's the vendor?
Oh, I'm sorry, Angel Armor vendor.
Make a motion, we pay PO 2880.
All in favor? I did see the white. Oh, well, that's fine. Was that correct?
Yeah, it should be.
So is that number 4's vehicle, the white Tahoe?
No, because of number 3's issues with making bumps and stuff, we put the number 4 in the Durango, and so Adam is in the white Tahoe.
So that was
It's a value thing, risk
is
reward.
what it is. Yes. I saw that last night. I saw you driving that out, sometime.
Yeah.
I saw that. He come up on a car and I'm like, ooh, we're still driving out. And this is like 8:30 at night. We're riding around looking at holiday lights. And yeah, I didn't know who it was. But it was nice to see that vehicle out because I didn't see it out,
Yeah.
Especially at night when we drove that. It's always the black car. Okay. Anybody have any questions from Frank? Everyone's fine.
Nate will be at the next meeting. He just said that we had a training this last month over just some chimney sweep items that it's this time of year, so we assistant captain was going over everything and doing training on the department. The truck from Valparaiso is parked outside if anybody ever wants to take a peek at it, and that's about all we have right now.
Okay. It looks really nice. I haven't seen it. Is it these decals?
It needs some buffing. It'll probably be a little bit of a project, but
Okay.
for nothing.
Hard to beat the price.
Right, can't beat the
Yeah.
price.
All right, next we're gonna go to utilities. Yeah.
Everybody should receive the utility report.
We had to replace the upper half of the fire hydrant at the firehouse. We did a new water tap for the new duplexes that's going in on George Street. We did some hydrant flushing, which wraps up for the year. While we were hydrant flushing, one of our hydrants decided to break wide open, so we had to shut that one down. Got it all tore apart to get parts ordered, just waiting on parts to come in. I got a few POs. PO 2881 to utility supply for the upper half of a hydrant meter relocator. Those are biddings for $3,402.93. PO 2882 to Town and Country Paving for HMA service patching, $4,436. PO 2883 to Republic for 2 sludge dumpster removals for $5,178.24. PO 2884 to Dustin Stamps to rebuild the engine, replace the clutch and the radiator on leaf machine for $12,983.62. PO 2886 to Napa for rotors for the 1 ton for $545.30.
Well, you got the leaf truck back finally?
We haven't got it back yet. He's still doing some break-in and that, changing oil after he runs it, so this way it's good to go. So when we get it back,
This should last us for a while now.
it was rebuilt just prior to me starting, which I started in 17. So just get a few years out of it.
Hopefully, we need a budget this. Next. It's just a truck.
I think there was something in there for the
My
leaf.
trailer.
Oh,
Suck the
yeah.
lead up, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah, the leaves and stuff.
what's one of those brand new?
over 100,000.
How did we get it?
Got it before me. Yeah.
Yeah, they bought it used from Northern Tool.
Maybe we don't need to do one,
New to us.
It's a lot of money to put into anything, in my opinion, so yeah. But hopefully we do get a couple more years and I would, whatever. We should say that, we should remember this though, this day that. I keep rebuilding this, I mean, it's kind of. It's a, what is it, a 2000? It's a 2000.
Oh, is it a 2000?
That's
I thought it was a
2000.
93, I thought.
Maybe motors at 2000.
Yeah, like I said, when they got it, they had it rebuilt, redone, whatever, re-sleeved. So then Dustin got it when he went to go flip it upside down. I guess 2 of the cylinders or pistons came out and the other ones were shot. It was burning 3/4 oil like that.
I'll make a motion. We pay POs 2881, 2882, 2883, 2884, and 2886.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anything else, Kim?
No, sir.
Okay, and we have a plan for your. Joe. Very good. Moving on, town manager Joe.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of the items that were on my list. The big thing that I've been working on over the last couple of weeks is looking into this federal sidewalk project. Having to work with NDOT, starting to collect heat map, crash data that the application needs. Starting to spec out locations for our project, starting to speak with homeowners, business owners on some of the potential areas. We have to talk about, are we doing curbs in this area? We're starting to cross, right of ways that are parking lots potentially. So just starting to sort through all those issues that improvements take. So spending a lot of time on that, but next meeting we should have a map of our locations that we're proposing, and we can go from there, and then we'll have
90-10, right?
yeah. And we'll have a rough price for the project. I mean, right now we're thinking it's $1.5 million project, everything with 150,000 match.
Is that gonna be everywhere though?
No,
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
no. We're looking potentially southeast side of town, State, Wilson, Garden, Winnegar, doing both sides of the street over there. Doing new sidewalk down Lincoln Street, from Highway 10 north. Doing Sycamore on both sides of the street, to the railroad tracks, tie into the trail. So that's
a lot.
that's what
Even though we do all of those roads need it? I mean, is the whole road or is just sections?
Those sidewalks are.
Yeah, on that side of town, it's pretty bad, and it's one of those things like, if we're gonna do it, we might as well just tear it out, because if we try to save something that's, 20 feet of sidewalk that's old, we're replacing it, it's best just to tear it out.
It's different from the highway
Yeah,
because I see.
Maybe the sidewalks aren't as bad over here.
yeah, no, with us replacing a lot of that stuff, doing some of those sewer projects and already starting to tackle some of that stuff, it's not as in bad shape.
It's downtown to George.
Yeah.
Meeting what we did on Laurel and Cherry. It's like marrying those two.
Yeah.
Similar with storm drainage and all that. Because I look at George still in pretty good shape. For overall North George, that's the ideal where you have already established curbing and all that.
You gotta think what sidewalks are used and what sidewalks. I mean, you got some areas we don't want to just replace them so that.
For the
nobody
sake of
ever
replacing
walks.
them.
Just for the sake of replacing
and I think that's
them.
what
Traffic's at.
Yeah, and especially on that side of town, a lot of that stuff, I think it would be used. It's just been in disrepair for so many years.
And that's really true,
You
right?
have one residence that, has a nice section of sidewalk in front, and then there's nothing on some of these blocks that are just, they're grass covered. And then all of a sudden you see a piece of sidewalk jutting out of the, it's,
Yeah.
so.
I like the idea of a sidewalk from 10 there along Lucan. I think that makes a lot of sense there
Yeah,
to walk into
helps
town.
tie into the downtown area, then ties into Sycamore right there, and then kind of takes us to that railroad museum, especially with everything the Prairie Trails Club's been doing, potential pocket park over there. It makes a lot of sense.
Okay. All right, Joe, do you have anything else?
That's it.
Okay, we have anything for legal updates tonight from Justin, Andrew?
Not to my knowledge.
Heard anything?
No, nothing. Okay. We're moving on to additional business being investigated by the council. Alex, do you have anything tonight for us?
No,
Okay. Eric, anything?
I do not have anything. tonight.
Linda?
No.
I only have written down here my notes. Did we figure out anything for the Christmas party yet?
Yep.
We'll
Get invites out.
We're there, we're down, we'll send in myself.
Yep.
Yep.
I get them out like as soon as possible, because
Absolutely.
then we won't have any problems. All right. Payment of claims. October 7th through October 20th, the amount of $166,536.33.
Make a motion, we pay those APBs.
All in favor? Aye.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's it.
That's it.
Evening.